It's the Mahatma Randy Show.
Oh, I'm pretending to type on a computer that is clearly not turned on because... Oh, hello. I did not see you there. Welcome to episode 43 of the Mahatma Randy Show. Today, I thought I would try something a little different. I'm going to talk about a movie that I saw when I was a kid, and then again this week. And it's worth actually talking about to you, the viewers, if any. The Fabulous Baron Munchausen is a 1962 Czechoslovakian film by Karl Zeman. It's also known as the Fabulous Baron Prasil, and in Czechoslovakia it was simply known as Baron Prasil. I don't know how you get the name Prasil out of Munchausen, but far be it from me to question the ways of other people, particularly communist people from failed states that no longer exist. I first saw this movie when I was 10 or 11 when they ran it on Creature Feature on our local UHF station, WTOG.
WTOG, as far as the eye can see.
44 is for you. Anyway, this was a really weird thing for them to show. The host, Dr. Paul Bearer, generally ran kaiju movies and cheap-ass American grade Z films like The Navy versus the Night Monsters. This one was really weird, as you can see from these clips, and really good. Unfortunately, I think I was at Don and Nancy Bennett's house at the time, family friends, not that you care about that, so I couldn't really fully pay attention. But what I saw, I did not like. I thought it was weird and babyish and not at all like Star Wars, so screw it, who needs it, right? I really wish that I had been able to appreciate it back then, though, because it's a really great film, and it is absolutely frickin' gorgeous. Or at least portions of it are, as you can see here. Other parts are a little more sedate, almost to the point of blandness, but those are pretty brief. And the movie as a whole is stunning visually. There's a bit of a sense that they blew most of their money in the first act, though. Obviously, the film combines live action, glass matte paintings, weird backgrounds, stop-motion animation, real animation, and paper cutout animation of the sort that Terry Gilliam used in Monty Python and René Laloux used in Fantastic Planet. There's also a lot of double exposures, superimpositions, and generally really trippy stuff, as you can see. It was shot in black and white and tinted, with some areas hand-colored or with selective tinting in some other scenes. Technically, it's a really, really neat, frequently gorgeous film, and I know for a fact that Terry Gilliam saw it. It also probably influenced his own Munchausen film somewhat. I like this one way better than his, though. And also, Laloux's French film was actually animated in Czechoslovakia because he couldn't afford to do it traditionally with ink and pen in France. I guess the cutout thing was kind of a national style in Czechoslovakia? I don't know. But you people probably don't care about the technical aspects of the film, and I can't blame you. They were lost on me as a kid. It's deliberately fake looking, but it is a glorious fakeness. It is awesome in its impossibility, which is kind of the point. If you are not familiar with Baron Hieronymus Karl Friedrich Freyer von Munchausen, he was reputedly the greatest liar of his or any other time. Just a compulsive liar who continually told tall tales about himself with absolutely no concern for whether anyone believed him or if the stories were even coherent. In the late 1700s, Rudolf Erich Rasp wrote a book that allegedly combines his life and dumb stories into one narrative. This made Munchausen famous, or perhaps infamous, as a hilarious crazy man. All the big stories you've heard about him come from Rasp's book. Riding a cannonball into battle, hiding from a naval battle by smoking so much tobacco that it creates a fog bank, various daring do's in the Turkish court, being swallowed by a whale, and on and on and on it goes. All of those are recreated here in some form. So the utter fakeness of the visual style of this movie really complements the narrative of a compulsive and possibly insane liar talking about himself. Of course, tall tales are one thing, but they're all pretty episodic. You need something to tie them together. This is where I think the movie jumps out way in front of all of the other retellings. It starts out with the first cosmonaut landing on the moon. To his surprise, he finds evidence that people have been there before. Stumbling on an old phonograph, and then on the Columbiad, the spacecraft from Jules Verne's 1865 novel From the Earth to the Moon. He's then greeted by Cyrano de Bergerac, whose 1657 comedic book includes the story of how he got to the moon by trapping morning dew in a bottle, then holding on to the bottle when the morning sun carried the dew back to the moon. Because, as everybody knows, the moon is where dew comes from. Science! Anyway, Cyrano and the protagonist from Verne's book introduce our cosmonaut to Baron Munchausen, who also had a lunar adventure. And they all have a grand time. Here's where it gets brilliant, though. Because he's wearing a spacesuit, none of them realize that he's human. They decide that he must be a moon man. And Munchausen decides to take him to Earth to show him what human society is like. En route, he ditches the spacesuit, and Munchausen admits that the cosmonaut, named Tony, looks more or less humanish, but at no point does he, nor any of the other loonies, realize that he's human. So they get to Constantinople, where Tony rescues a captive princess from the caliph's clutches, and the rest of the movie is a romantic triangle between the three. Tony has a subplot in which he's had it with all this fantasy nonsense and tries to build a steamboat, which almost works, but at the end of the day, nonsense wins out. Ultimately, the three of them get back to the moon by a means so ludicrous that I am not going to spoil it for you. And then we get this reunion with the other four people still on the moon. Then we get this surprisingly poignant scene in which Cyrano says that up until now, the moon has belonged to poets, romantics, fantasists, lovers, liars, and science fiction writers. But all of that is done now, and henceforth it shall belong solidly to the realm of reality, a part of the real world. Speaking of which, I'm a science fiction writer myself, and allegedly I'm pretty good. So if you would like to stick around after the end of this episode and listen to somebody reviewing one of my books very briefly, I would greatly appreciate it. Likewise, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, please like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, now that the moon belongs to the real world, this leaves no place for Cyrano or the Baron or the others. So, with a big flourish, he throws his hat up into the sky where it sails off into eternity. And he says that his type henceforth shall exist in the new world of imagination beyond the stars. And then they're gone. I cannot say enough good things about this movie. It's funny, sweet, dumb, romantic, fantastic in both senses of the word, and it's short, just a hair under 90 minutes. And best of all, you can watch it on Amazon for free. I was so incredibly happy that I found this because I had been trying to describe it to people for like 40 years, and they had no idea what I was talking about, and were pretty convinced that I was insane. Although, to be fair, most of them had that impression from the moment they met me, and the descriptions of the movie were really just backing up their pre-existing opinion. There is an English dub, that's the one that I saw on TV in 77 or 78, but I haven't been able to find that. Anyway, great film, and watch it if you have the chance. That's all I've got for now, so, go the hell away. Continuing to pretend to type. Here's a review for my book, It's Not Rocket Science, written by Paul Derer. 5 out of 5. I am happy I got this book from my wife who grew up in Florida. You will especially like it if you grew up there in the 80s. The author is quite witty and humorous. He's written other books that also include sci-fi stories. This is an enjoyable reading for anyone, including children. 5 out of 5. Link below. Thank you very much. Please check it out.